So our first step to creating a logo animation is to first type out the letters in Illustrator and convert them into curves that you will bring into Maya. So I'm creating a new letter-sized file in Illustrator. The size doesn't exactly matter, but it's just the default, and I don't need to change anything. And then I'll type in the text. For this example, I'm just using the simple text 3D, just 2 characters, but I'll make it nice and big. And if you're going to animate your text in 3D, it's better to have it nice and bold. So I'm going to choose this font, which will give nice bold shapes in Maya to work with. So this text by itself will not be readable in Maya. We need to convert it into curves first. To do this, you click on your text once just to select the whole thing, and then you go up to Type and then Create Outlines. What this does in Illustrator is it converts your text into just curves. You can see it in your layers window that I have a group here called 3D. Within that I have 2 compound paths. So there are a few more things we need to take care of before this file can be read by Maya. One is when you save the Illustrator file, so save it now. When you save the Illustrator file, you make sure in the options that use compression is off. If you save your Illustrator file with compression, you're going to get an error message when you try to import it into Maya. So I turn off use compression, and then I save my file. And we also need to prepare these curves so they will be read in Maya. For example, this is a group. I need to ungroup this first because the group will not be read in properly. So I go and ungroup it. Secondly, each of these letters is a compound path. We need to release these compound paths and then make just one compound path containing the whole word. So I click on the letter 3, the number 3, and I go up to Object, Compound Path, Release. So now this changes from a compound path to just a path, a simple path. I'm going to do the same with the letter D, but notice with the letter D and with all letters that have a hole in them, see what happens when I release the compound path. This is what happens. The outer shape and the inner shape become 2 separate curves. Not that it matters to Maya because Maya is going to ignore the fill colors, but just for our own readability, I'm going to take that inner shape and change its color to white, just so I can read it. For Maya, Maya doesn't care about the fill colors, so it'll be okay. And now the last step is to select all these curves and make them into one compound path. So I've selected the curves and then I go into Object, Compound Path, Make. And now I save the file again. Remember the first time that I saved the file, I had to uncheck Use Compression. Now these curves are ready to be brought into Maya. So in Maya, here's what you do to bring your Illustrator curves into the Maya scene and so you can model them out as 3D objects. You go up to Create, Adobe Illustrator Object, but you click on the options because you have many different ways of bringing in the shapes from Illustrator. You have two main ways. One is to bring just the flat curves in, and second is to bevel the curves to make them a solid object. I'm not going to use this bevel right now because there's a better way in Maya now. So I'm going to bring in just the curves from Illustrator. So we choose curves. And then you go to create. It's going to ask you to choose the Illustrator file. So I choose the file that I've just prepared in Illustrator and bring it in. And here it is. So all the three curves came in, the one curve of the three and the two curves that make up the D. To make these into solid objects, the best way that I've found now is called Bevel Plus. Select the number 3, change your menu set to modeling if you're not already in modeling, and then you go to Surfaces, Bevel Plus, but let's go into the options. In our options, we have many settings, the width, the depth, and the extrude distance. The extrude distance is going to decide the thickness of your letter in Maya, but the bevel width and depth give you that nice beveled edge so it looks more realistic, it looks better. So I'm going to set these values. Now these numbers may be different for you, so we can go over that. I've set my extrude distance to 1.8 and I'm leaving my bevel width and depth as the default. Then I go into the output options, and this will take a little playing around with. I'm going to create a polygon shape as the output, but how many faces I need depend upon the shape of these curves. The default of 200 faces may not be enough, as you will see now. So I'm just going to apply this so you can see what it looks like. So this is what I get with the default settings. Notice what's happening here. The polygons are not quite enough to match the curve that I want. So I'm going to undo this, increase the face count, and then do it again. So I'll increase the face count to at least 8 or 900 and then apply it. So it's following the curve better. Maybe I can increase it a little more. So I'm going to undo this again, increase the face count, and then apply. So of course I could keep on increasing this, but it will only pay off to a certain extent. I'm going to zoom out and see if it looks good for my purpose at the size I'm going to see it on screen. Then I'm going to stop increasing the face count. And I think this looks pretty good from far. So this is sufficient face count for me. I increased it up to 1,000. Now in Maya, if you ever reach the end of a slider and you find that you need to increase the value more, all you need to do is go in and type a bigger value. And then the slider will make more room to accommodate your request. So if I were to create this letter 3 with 1500 faces, let's see what it would look like. So it matches the curve even better. Okay. So I'm going to do the same with the D. Now check this out. The D has a hole inside it. So how do I create the bevel plus in a way that has the window, the hole in the middle? So I select the outer curve, shift select the inner curve, then I go to Surfaces and Bevel Plus. I didn't go into the options because I want the same settings that I had for the number 3. So by selecting the outer curve first and then shift selecting the inner curve, it recognizes that the inner curve is a hole. and it just creates it that way for you. So now I have my 3D text.